Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Knowledge of Friends. Subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for the latest update. आज हम लोग कंप्यूटर नेटवर्क की क्लास करने वाले हैं जो कि क्लास नंबर 14 है। ऑलरेडी हमने 13 क्लासेस कर लिया है, जिसमें अगर हम बात करते हैं तो हमने यूनिट 1 कंप्लीट कर लिया है, जिसमें यूनिट 1 इंट्रोडक्शन टू कंप्यूटर नेटवर्क है। इसके बाद हमने यूनिट 2 किया है जो कि आपका मीडियम एज सब लेयर है। फिर यूनिट 3 किया है जो कि आपका नेटवर्क लेयर है। फिर यूनिट 4 किया है जो कि हमारा ट्रांसपोर्ट लेयर है। अब हम जो कर रहे हैं वो यूनिट 5 कर रहे हैं, दैट इज़ योर एप्लीकेशन लेयर। एंड होपफुली अगर ये लंबा क्लास नहीं जाता है तो विल एंड अप विद दिस कंप्यूटर नेटवर्क इन दिस क्लास ओनली. So first of all, it's a huge request from my side to all the viewers. Please go through with the subscribe button and please like, share and subscribe our channel so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. Let's go ahead with the first topic, that what we have to discuss is your email architecture and services. Email architecture and services. So in the email architecture and services, when we are gone through with that, and I will deal with email as well, that is you can say that an electronic mail, that is just a form of email. This has been asked of email. This has been asked for 5 marks in 3 examination paper of yours, and one time they had asked you about 10 marks, that explain about email architecture and services as well. So let's go ahead with the detail here. That email is an asynchronous communication medium, and electronic mail is used for sending a single message that includes the text, voice, video and graphics to one or more recipients, where electronic mail is a fast, easy distribute and inexpensive able and simple mail transfer protocol, that is SMTP, is the standard mechanism for electronic mail in the internet, where email is not a real-time services and that fairly large delays that can be tolerated as well. It is not it is also not connected, that the connection oriented in that network connection does not need to set up expressively and for each individual message as well. We will discuss the high level view of the internet email system as well, that will represent it here, and where mail server handles incoming and outgoing mails as well. The post office protocol, that is your POP server, that stores the incoming mail, while SMTP server that relays outgoing calls as well, where the internet service provider, that is ISP, probably runs both on SMTP server and a POP3 for its customer. Like following are the ways to access the email. There are 4. So here we have 4 types, that is your web based email service. The second is your email through a LAN. The third we have is a Unix shell account. The fourth is your using mail client. So here for that I will go ahead with internet email system as well. So let's go ahead. So this is a user agent. These were mail server. that is connected to one another, that is SMTP. This is connected to SMTP as well, and this is connected to SMTP as well. And with the same case is for the user agent. This is all known as internet email system. With the next, we'll go ahead with the components. In a component, there are three major components are, that is, the first is your user agent, the second is your mail server, and the third is your SMTP. Where that the components of the email system we have for here, this is a component of email system. User sent mail, that is your outgoing mails pool area, this is your client background transfer, and this is your, that is TCP connection for outgoing mail. For that, when it comes from, that is your, of course, that is your TCP connection for outgoing mail. This is the server, this is the client, so here it is server, that to accept mail, where it is mailboxes for incoming mail. This is user interface, and this is, of course, that is user reads mail. These were the components of email status system here. Let's go ahead with a further one, and that's what we have to discuss as well, and that is in the related to the functions of email, where the functions of email we have in the functions of email, we have email system support the 5 basic function, and that they are as follows. The first is your composition, the second is your transfer, the third is your reporting, the fourth is displaying, The fifth is your, that is disposition. For the composition here, that the composition referred to the process of creating messages and answer and any text editor that can used for the body of the message. When answering a message, the email system that can extract the originator address from the incoming email. And for the transfer here, that the transfer refers to moving a message from an originator to the recipient here. And for the third is your reporting. That reporting has to do with the telling the originator what happened to the message and whether email is delivered or not delivered. And the next is your displaying, where displaying incoming messages is needed so user can read their email. And the fifth is your disposition. The disposition is the final step and concern what the recipient does with the message after receiving it, and it may be read and save or delete or forward the message as well. Now we'll go ahead with the detail, that is the user agent and a message transferred agent as well. That user agent, talking about user agent here, that is a two subsystem. Email system consists of two subsystem. The first is your user agent and the second is your message transfer agent. So the first is your user agent, where user agent, it allows user to read and send email. The user agent are local program that provide a command based menu based or graphical method for interacting with the email system. And to send an email message, a user must provide a message, the destination address, where the destination address should be in the proper format, and the user agent can deal with the destination address. Detail of email address, we already studied in email addressing section. Most email systems support the mailing list so that the user can send the same message to the list of the peoples with a single command. And for reading email, the user agent will look the user mail box for incoming email. Before displaying any thing on the screen, it displays total number of new mail as well. We are in the message transfer agent here, that is the message transfer agent, which is tends to known as MTA. In the MTA, that moves the message from the source to destination, where MTA, the system program that runs in the background and moves email through the system. And after writing the mail, user click of send icon that MTA activates at the time, and MTA checks the destination address and transfer the mail to the proper destination on the network as well. Where MTA uses different types of protocol for moving the message from source to destination as well, where that it must handle the temporary failure. If the destination machine is temporarily unavailable, it must spool the message on the local machine for the later delivery. The second is that MTA must distinguish between the local and the remote destination, and it may have to deliver the copies of the message to the several machines as well. And even though it may allow mixing text, voice and video in the message, as well as appending document and files to a message as well. Let's go ahead with another one, that what we have to discuss here. Explain how does email reach to destination, and explain in a brief SMTP, that is emphasizing the role and the functions of user agent and a mail transfer agent as well. So let's go ahead with another one, that what we had discussed, even though that has been asked of 10 marks. And where the next question, that is write a short note on SMTP, and even though we had discussed in this class only, and we had completed this in the last class of 5 marks. Let's go ahead with another one, and that what we have is your World Wide Web. That is the, what is the difference between an active web document and a dynamic web document, and also explain the rule of CGI. This has been asked of 10 marks. And the another one question is, what is the difference between the active and dynamic web page, and where explain the structure of the inferences between the access database over the web page. This has been asked of 5 marks. So let's go ahead with the parameters and static and dynamic as well. So let's go ahead. Serial number, then we have parameters, and then we have static web page and dynamic web page. You have to make like that only. So here with this, the first parameter we have, that is composing process. In composing process, for the static here, that create each page separately by writing the HTML code, and for the dynamic here, that requires the creation of general template first, and with the template built, only an actual content of the each page need to be created here. For the second component we have here is that is maintenance. In the maintenance here, that is in the static, adding new page means creating a new separate web page, and any changes in the structure requires manual update of each page here. For the new this is for the dynamic here, that is the new content is inserted into the structure template, and any change to the structure means updating the template only. And for the third parameter we have is your, that is workload on the server. Where for the static, that is your low workload, and here that is your, it increases server workload. Next for that we have the fourth one, and that is the last one as well, that is your knowledge. For static, that requires basic HTML knowledge, and for the dynamic here, that requires more programming load. You can just write it down, and you can just make these four differences here. And let's go ahead with the common gateway interfaces, that is CGI, that what we have to discuss in the detail as well. So full form of CGI we have, that is your common gateway interface. In the common gateway interface here, that the CGI makes the dynamic computations of a web page possible here, and with the same case that is it allows a web server to associate some URL with a compute program instead of the static document on disk. And when a browser requests one of the special URLs, the servers runs on the associated computer programs and send the output from the program back to the user, and a server can have an arbitrary number of the CGI program that performs a different computation as well. Within the terms of the CGI, that the server uses the URL in the incoming request to determine which CGI program to run. And CGI working is as to be follows, like CGI program is a part of a web server where the browser sends a request to the server, and if the request URL correspond to the CGI program, the server starts the appropriate program and passes to the program a copy of the request as well, where the server then sends the output from the CGI program back to the browser in the form of reply as well. And from a browser point of view, there is no differences between a URL that correspond to a static document and one of the corresponding to the CGI program. The request for the both static document and the CGI output have the same syntactic form as well. Let's go ahead with the detailed of the next one, and that what we have to discuss here, and that is related to list some of the major security problem that exist on internet. So internet में जो problems हैं, that is the first common problem that we will face is your phishing. This has been asked of 2 marks. That is the first is phishing here, that the phishing and that is the farming attacks have become sophisticated and are being used to cause the real harm to the wide range of organization. The attackers' objectives are both to steal the confidential information and to gain access to and control over the sensitive system, whether for the political or financially motivated reason as well. The website user that visit is not the real site but the cleverly designed imposter site that may seems real to you, so that the user will enter your username and password, and which is then captured by the attacker. The second is your that is stalking. In stalking here, the stalking generally refers to a repeated harassing and threatening behavior, putting another persons in fear. Stalking is unlike most crimes because it is the course of conduct designed to create a fear in another person and does not necessarily require that the victim come in contact with the offenders. The third we have is your that is intrusion. In intrusion, that intrusion is a set of gaining unauthorized access to the system so as to cause loss. And intrusion detection is the act of detecting the unwanted traffic on the network or devices as well. The next is your hacking. In hacking, that hacking is a simple term means an illegal intrusion into a computer system and or network. There is an equivalent term to hacking, and that is your cracking. But from Indian law perspective, there is no differences between the term hacking and cracking. Let's go ahead with the detail. Write a short note on XML, and which is very important, and that has been asked of 5 marks and multiple question paper that had been asked here. So let's go ahead to ask about the XML in a detail, and that is what is the full form of XML? The full form of XML is Extensible Markup Language. In the HTML that does not provide any structure to the web page, and HTML mixes the content with the formatting with the web page in HTML, and it is very difficult for a program to search a particular word. To overcome this problem, two new languages, Extensible Markup Language and Extensible Style Language, are used, and the XML and XSL specification are much stricter than the HTML specification, where XML stands for, as I told you, Extensible Markup Language here, and that is a text based markup language derived from the standard generalized markup language as well, that is we called as SGML, that is standard generalized markup language. Web page in XML and XSL, that is are still static since they are simply contain instruction to the browser about how to display the page just as HTML pages do. And XML allows the website designer to make up the definitions files in which the structures are defined in advance, and the definition file that can include it, making it possible to use them to build a complex web page as well, where the elements are the primary building blocks used to create XML document. In a Microsoft XML schemas, that element type defines where an element type contains the attribute that we have, and with the same case for that contain the attribute that describes the element content, data type and name, etc., where the application using the XML document containing this markup that would need to lost if quantity is numeric, and take appropriate action if it is not. And there are the three important characteristics of the XML that makes that it useful a variety of the system and the solution as well, where XML is extensible. XML allows you to create your own self-descriptive tags or language that suits your application. The second is that XML carries the data, does not present it. Like XML allows you to store the data respectively to how it will be presented as well. And where XML is that is a public standard, where XML was developed by an organization that is called the World Wide Web Consortium, that is W3C, and that is available in an open standard as well. Let's go ahead with the detail of HTTP, that is the differences between SMTP, HTTP, and then we'll discuss about the differences between HTTP and HTTPS. So let's go ahead here. So here we'll go ahead with the difference between SMTP, HTTP. So we are SMTP and HTTP here. We have more than 8 differences we'll discussed here. So SMTP here, that is a simple mail transfer protocol, is used to exchange the electronic mail, where HTTP is used for communicating between web browser and a web server. In SMTP, that application layer protocol, and HTTP is a web transfer protocol. This is meant for client server interaction, and this is designed for you to use in the web. It is used services of the TCP socket, and HTTP uses the services of TCP. SMTP consists of two parts, which is local part and a global part, where HTTP consists of two messages, which is request message and response message. And SMTP uses a port 25 and HTTP uses a port 80 here. In the same case, the another difference, SMTP messages are stored and forwarded. HTTP messages are delivered immediately, and SMTP message are read by the human, and HTTP message are not designated to be read by humans, and they are read and interpreted by the HTTP server and the server client, that is your browser as well. In the same case, SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, where HTTP stands for the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Let's go ahead to another one, that is your differences between HTTP and HTTPS protocol. So for the HTTP here, that is the HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and HTTPS stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, where HTTP uses the port 80 by default to transfer the information, and HTTPS use port 443 by default. HTTP that is URL begin with http:// and with HTTPS URLs begin with https://. So here with this same we will be having next differences, that is the four differences. For the HTTP here, that is HTTP uses a plain text with the encryption, and HTTPS that uses the encrypted HTTP connection by the transport layer security, where HTTP considered as unsafe, where HTTPS is more secure. And HTTP does not require any validation, where HTTPS include the validation like domain verification, organization verification, or a legal document verification as well, where HTTP that can be accessed by the hackers easily, and HTTPS make a complex way for hackers. And HTTP URL is viewed as normal address, and HTTPS enhances the user trust and confidence to displaying the green address bar, that is EV, SSL, true steel, and a padlock as well. With the same case, now we'll go ahead to discuss about FTP, which is the file transfer protocol. FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. So in the file transfer protocol that they had asked you about, write a short note on FTP and how does FTP work, and difference between passive and active FTP as well. So with the same case, if I'm talking about here, that is the file transfer protocol stands for FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol, and FTP powers one of the fundamental internet function and is prescribed method for the transfer of files between the computers, and it is also the easiest and most secure way to exchange the files over the internet as well. And an FTP address looks a lot like an HTTP or a website address that accepts the user and the prefix, that is your FTP : and that is or the instead of HTTP : the FTP protocol that we have here, that the file transfer protocol is the standard internet protocol that for transmitting the files between the components on the internet over the TCP and IP connections here. And FTP is a client server protocol that relies on a two communication channel between the client and the server, where a command channel for controlling the connection and a data channels for transmitting the file here, and that is for transmitting the file as well as file content, and where the clients initiate conventions with the server by requesting to load a file, to download a file as well. And using FTP, a client can upload, download, delete, remove, move, and copy the file on the server, and a user typically needs to log on to the FTP server. Although some servers make some or all their contents to be available without logging, and also known as the anonymous FTP as well. We're transforming a file from the client computer to the server computer is called uploading, and transferring from the server to a client is downloading. So FTP client on a client PC and to the FTP server, that the FTP commands towards it and FTP replies as well, and where the data has been gone to the connection interpret as well. That the standard FTP protocol is used to encrypt the, meaning it is vulnerable to packet sniffers and the other types of snooping attacks, and therefore the FTPS and SFTP's protocol were developed to provide the secure FTP connection, where the FTPS the FTP with SSL security provides the SSL encryption for all FTP communication, where SFTP SSH file transfer protocol is a secure version of FTP that uses the SSH to encrypt all the data transfer as well. While in the same case, talking about the objectives of FTP, objectives of FTP here, that is that to promote the sharing of the files, that is your computer programs and or data, and the second is to encourage the indirect or implicit via program uses the remote per computer, and the third is to shield a user for the variations in the file storage system among hosts, and the fourth is to transfer the data reliability and efficiently as well. Now we'll talk about another one, that is your requirements for using FTP. So requirements for using FTP here, that is an FTP client like Auto FTP Manager installed on your computer, certain information about the FTP server you want to connect to, and the FTP server address. This looks a lot like an address you type to the browser to website. Example like server addresses ftp.videodex.net, and sometimes the server address will be given as the numeric address like 64.185.225.87 as well, and such what like that, and a username and a password. Some FTP servers let you connect them anonymously, and for anonymously connection you do not need a username and a password as well. And with same to transfer the file, provide your client software, that is Auto FTP Manager, with the server address, that's the username and the password, and after connecting to the FTP server you can use Auto FTP Manager file manager to upload, download and delete files, and using the file manager is a lot like working with Window Explorer as well. Now we'll talk about the FTP commands. In that, talking about FTP commands here, so there are the three different FTP commands. The first we have is your access control command. The second we have is your transfer parameter command. And the third we have is your FTP service command. So these were the three following different FTP commands here. And now we'll talk about the FTP responses, that is the FTP responses here. In FTP responses, the FTP responses make it possible to ensure the synchronization between the client and FTP server. So at each command sent by the client, that the server will potentially carry out an action and systematically sends back to our response as well, where the response codes are made up of three numbers of meeting of which are as follows. The first number indicates that the status of the response, the success or fail. The second number indicates that the response refers to, and the third number gives a more specific meaning related to each second digit as well. Now we'll go ahead to discuss about TFTP, where we have to discuss about that is your TFTP here. Where the TFTP full form we have here, that we'll discuss in detail as well, that is of 8 marks here that has been asked. So here the TFTP here, that is, it is a UDP based file transfer program that which is frequently used to allow the diskless host to boot over the network, and TFTP is implemented by the TFTP client program and by the TFPD server program as well. Whereas a TFTP has no user authentication, it may be possible for the unwanted file transfer to occur as well. It is a significant threat that TFTP may be used to steal the password files. TFTP is a simple protocol to transfer files, and it is implemented on the top of the Internet User Datagram Protocol, which is UDP or a datagram. The design of the TFTP is small and easy to implement, and therefore the lacks most of the features of the regular FTTP and a TFTP that can only read and write files or made from or to a remote server, and it can list directories, and currently it has no provisions for the user authentication as well. In TFTP, any server always begins with a request to read or write a file, which serves a request to a connection, and when the server grants the request, the connection is opened and the file is sent to a fixed length block of 512 bytes, and each data packet that contained one block of data, and it must be acknowledged by an acknowledgement packet before sending the next packet, and a data packet of less than 512 bytes signals causes a termination of the transfer as well. Where same case, if a packet is lost in the network, the intended recipient will time out and may retransmit his last packet, which may be the data or an acknowledgement, thereby causing the sender of the lost packet to retransmit the lost packet, and the sender has to keep just one packet on hand for retransmission, because the lockstep acknowledgement guarantees that all other packets have been received. And whereas notice that both machines involved in the transfer we consider senders and the receivers as well, where one sends the data and receives acknowledgement, and the other sends acknowledgement and receives the data as well. Where the three modes of the transfer currently supported by TFTP are, that is NetASCII, that is of 8-byte ASCII, and octet, that is a raw of 8-bit bytes, and mail, and the NetASCII characters sent to a user rather than a file, and also the additional modes that can be defined by the peers of cooperating the host as well. And the same case, if I'm talking about here, that is your networking management, where we'll discuss about the SNMP in a detail, which has been asked of 4 times in an examination paper of 10 marks. And the another question related to SNMP, that explain single network management protocol, list its various component and discuss each of them. So where we'll go ahead here. SNMP. The full form of SNMP we have, that is simple network management protocol, and that is the various components of SNMP we have. So first we'll discuss about SNMP, which is a simple network management internet here. That is in the same that is a protocol. We can say that SNMP protocols are specified in RFC 1157, and whereas SNMP is a tool of multi-vendors interpretable network management, and SNMP includes a protocol, a database structure, specification, set of the data object as well, where the simple network management protocol is an application layer protocol that facilitates the exchange of management information between the network devices, and it is a part of the transmission control protocol, internet protocol, that is your TCP/IP protocol suite. SNMP enables the protocol that SNMP enables the network administrator to manage the network performances and find and solve the network problems and plan for the network growth as well. We'll discuss SNMP basic components we have here. That is the three important components of the network management are, that is the first we have managing entity, second is managed device, the third we have network management protocol. So that shows the principal components of the network management architecture as well. And for the management entity we will talk about. So here that is your the managed entity is an application. It controls the collection, processing, analysis of network management information as well. Where in the same case we'll talk about that is managed device that be managing the entity or the data has been sent from one to another, that is the network management architecture has been represented. So for the managed device here, that is a network equipment, and it can be the host, router, bridge, hub, printer or modem. And a managed device may have several managed objects or pieces of hardware where the objects have the information associated with them, and these informations are collected into the management information base, that is MIB. And also in each managed devices a network management agent is residing, and it is a process that is running in the managed devices that communicates with the managing entity, taking the local action at the managed devices under the command of the control of the managing entity as well. Talking about the network management protocol here, the network management protocol runs between the managing entity and a managed device and indirectly takes action at these devices through its agents, and it is a tool by which the network administrator can manage the network as well. When the managed devices are monitored and controlled using four basic SNMP commands, that is your read, write, trap and traverse operation. For the read command, that is used for the NMS to monitor the managed devices, and the NMS examines the different variables that are maintained by the managed devices as well. For the write command is used for the NMS to control the managed devices. The NMS changes the values of the variables stored within the managed devices. The trap command is used by managed devices to asynchronous report event to the NMS, and when certain types of events occur, a managed devices sends a trap to the NMS as well. Where SNMP is a distributed management protocol, a system that can operate exclusively as either an NMS or an agent, or it can perform the function of both. When a system operates as both an NMS and an agent, the another NMS might require that the system query manage devices and provide the summary of information learned, or that it report locally stored management information as well. These versions of SNMP exist like SNMP version 1, SNMP v1, SNMP version 2, SNMP v2 and SNMP version 3, SNMP that is your v3, and all versions have a new numbers of features in the common, but SNMP v2 offers enhancement including the additional protocol operations as well. The operations supposed by the app SNMP we have operations of SNMP. So operations of SNMP we have, the first operation we have is your get. In a get, the station retrieves a scalar object value from managed station. That is second is your set. Stations update a scalar object value in a managed station. The third is trap. The trap that station sends an unsolicited scalar object value to the management station as well. Let's go ahead to the detail of VoIP, and that is the what are the problems to full implementation of voice over IP. And did you think we will stop using the telephone network very soon? This has been asked for 10 marks. And the other question is, write a short note on VoIP. So for the VoIP, we have the full form is voice over IP. In the same reference towards the voice over IP here, and that is the voice over IP, that the internet telephony uses the internet protocol to send the audio, video and a data between two or more users in the real time. And IP telephony is the integration and the conversions of the voice and the data network services and application. The main motivations of the development of IP telephony is that the cost of the saving integrating the new services. Voice over internet protocol, that is IP telephony, internet telephony, broadband phone, and voice over the broadband is the routing or a voice, that is the conversations over the internet or through any of our other IP based network as well. VoIP is a real-time interactive audio video application, where VoIP is also called as internet telephony as well. Companies providing VoIP services are commonly referred to as provider, and a protocol which are used to carry the VoIP signals over the IP networks that are commonly referred to as VoIP over IP. And a VoIP protocol, it is cost effective because they're utilizing a single network to carry the voice and the data, that is especially where the user have existing that is your underutilized network capacity that can carry the VoIP at no additional cost. And VoIP or VoIP phone calls are sometimes free, while VoIP to public switch telephone network PSTN that may have other cost that is borne by VoIP user. And some VoIP services only work over your computer or a special VoIP phone. The other services allows you to the traditional phone connected to a VoIP adapter, where the voice over IP protocol that carry the telephony signal as digital audio typically reduced in the data rate using the speech data compression technique and encapsulated in the data packet stream over the IP. There are the two types of PSTN to VoIP services, that is the direct inward dialing, this is DID, and access number. And DID will connect the caller directly to the VoIP user, while the access number required the caller to input the extensions number of the VoIP user as well. Talking about the implementation of VoIP here, that because the UDP does not provide a mechanism to ensure that the packets are delivered in sequential order or provide quality of the services guarantee, so VoIP implementation face the problem dealing with the latency and the jitter, and this is especially true when satellite circuits are involved due to the long round trip propagation delay, that is the 400 millisecond to 600 millisecond for the that is geostationary satellite here. And for that the receiving mode must restrictive IP packet that may be out of the order and delayed or missing, while ensuring that the audio streams maintain the proper time consistency, and this functionality is usually accomplished by means of the jitter buffer. Another challenge is routing VoIP traffic through the firewall and address translator. Private sessions border controls are used along with the firewall to enable that VoIP call to and from a protected enterprises network. And Skype uses a prior that is proprietary protocol to route calls through the other Skype peers on the network, and allowing it to traverse systematic nets and firewall as well. With the same VoIP challenges, what we'll have to discuss here, that is your VoIP challenges. So VoIP challenges we have here, the first challenges we have is your that is available bandwidth. The second we have is your delay, network latency. The third we have packet loss. The fourth we have, that is your jitter. The fifth we have echo. Sixth, security. The seventh, reliability. And the eighth, that is your pulse dialing. 2, DTMF translation here. And many VoIP providers do not translate the pulse dialog from the other phones to DTMF, and the VoIP user may use a VoIP pulse to tone converter if needed. And fixed delays cannot be controlled, but some delays can be minimized by marking that voice packet as being delay sensitive. So see, for example, like differs and that the principal cause of packet loss in the congestion, and which can be controlled by the congestion management and avoidance. And the carrier web network avoid the congestions by the means of the traffic engineering, where the variation in the delay is called jitter, and the effects of the jitter can be eliminated by storing the voice packet in a buffer that called the playout buffer upon the arrival before playing them out, and this avoids a condition known as a buffer underrun, and that is in which the playout process runs out of the voice and the data play because the next voice packet has not yet arrived, but increases delay by the length of the buffer as well. Where the common causes of the echo include the impedance mistakes, mismatches in analog circuitry, and the acoustic coupling of the transit and receive the signal at the receiving end as well. Let's go ahead with the another one that we have to discuss, the short answer. And these were the answers that were the last answers here, and that was as well as that is very important towards it. So what were the email gateways? That has been asked of 2 marks. And email gateways that convert the message from one mail format to the another. For example, IP gateway, proxy gateway, EGP, BGP, and IGP here. What is DNS? DNS is the client server application that identifies each host on the internet with a unique user-friendly name. What is SMTP? SMTP is a simple mail transfer protocol. It's a standard and reliable host to host mail transport protocol that operates over the TCP port 25. State the purpose of SNMP. The primary purpose for SNMP is to allow the network administrators to monitor and configure the devices on the network and remotely via the network as well. And these configuration and monitoring capabilities are the collectively referred to as management. Why email security is necessary? So email security is a process of using the email encryption to send the message that can only be opened by the intended recipient, and sending a message without the secure email encryption is similar to dropping a postcard in the mail, and it can be read by almost anyone handling the postcard during the journey and from the sender to receiver. Secure email encryption protects both your online data and the customer sensitive information as well. Where we have to define SNMP, and this is simple network management protocol here, and a standard for the gathering statistical data about the network traffic and the behavior of the network component, where the SNMP uses the management information basis, which is MIBS, and which defines what information is available from and manageable network devices. Next question is that is what is the domain name system responsible for? The domain name system converts the domain name of the form, that is www.vtube.books.com, into the IP numbers as well. Next is what are the 4 main properties of HTTP? So the 4 main properties of HTTP we have here is that is represented here. That the 4 main properties we will discuss about it, and that is your 4 main properties of HTTP, and that we have here is that is the first property is your global uniform resource identifier. The second is that is request response exchange. The third is your statelessness. The fourth is your resource metadata. here. So next we'll have to describe why HTTP is designed as a stateless protocol here. We are maintaining a state across the request and response connection significantly and increases the initial interaction in the connection, since the identifier of each party needs to be established and any saved states that must be retrieved. HTTP is then stateless to ensure the internet is scalable, and since state is not contained in the HTTP request and response pairs by the default as well. The next is your what are the four groups of HTTP headers. So the four groups of HTTP header is, that is your general headers, entity header, request header, and response header here. Next we'll go ahead with the another one, that is what are the basic functions of email. So here, that is the basic function of email is the composition, transfer, reporting, displaying, and disposition as well. What is www and what these were? It is the internet application that allows the user to view web page and move from one web page to another, that is World Wide Web. Let's go ahead to the another one, that is what is web browser. Web browser is a software program that interprets and displays the contents of HTML web page. Now we'll compare HTTP and FTP. FTP transfers the file from a client to the server and the server to client, and HTTP transfer the file from server to client, that is your web page. The second different, the FTP uses the two different ports number connection, that is your port 28, port 21, and HTTP uses only one port connection, that is port 80. FTP uses TCP protocol and HTTP uses the TCP protocol as well. And that is mentioned application of FTP that uses for the remote login and a data transfer. FTP provides good security and that it is often used for upload web page and the other document from the private net development machine to a public web hosting server as well. Now we'll discuss about what are the advantages of allowing the persistent TCP connections in HTTP. The HTTP request and response that can be pipelined on the net connection. The second is the network connection is reduced by reducing the number of the packet caused by and TCP opens, and by allowing the TCP sufficient airtime to determine the congestion state of the network. The third is the latency on the subsequent request is reduced, since there is a time spent in TCP connection opening handshake as well. We're talking about, list down the keys length supported by PGP. So the keys length that's supported by PGP here. Key lengths supported by PGP, and that we have here is the first we have, that is 385 bits, second is 512 bits, and third is 1024 bits. These were the 3 bits that has been supported. So let's go ahead with a question that has been solved, question that what we have to ask here, and with the same case there are many more questions that has been done in within these units only. So first of all, we'll end up with this class in this class only, and the next questions paper we will discuss. If you have required of, you can just tell me on a comment section. I will be providing you each and every questions here, and that you can understood as well. So first of all, it's a huge request from my side to all the viewers, please go through with the subscribe button and please like, share and subscribe our channel, so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. As of unit 5, this is the last class, but I will discuss many more classes in the reference towards your the question paper here. So here in this unit 1 we had completed the computer network unit, and where the introduction to computer networking, which where we had done about it, that is related to the introduction, that is the introduction concept, the goals and application of network structures and architecture, the OSI reference model, the service network topology design, that is delay analysis, backbone design, local access network, and physical layer transmission media switching method, ISDN, terminals handling. Unit 2, that is medium access sublayer, which is medium access sublayer, channel allocation, LAN protocol, Aloha protocol, overview of IEEE standard, FDDI, data link layer, elementary data link protocol, and sliding window protocol, error handling. The third unit, your network layer, that is network layer, point-to-point network, routing, congestions control, internetworking, TCP, IP packets, IP address, IPv6. The unit 4 is your transport layer, where we have to discuss about transport layer, design issues, connection management, session layers, design issues, remote posture call, presentation layer, design issues, data compression technique, cryptography, TCP and window management. Unit 5 is your application layer, where application layer, file manager, SSN management, electronic mail, virtual terminals, other application examples, network, internet and public network. So we'll end up with here. First of all, it's a huge request from my side to all the viewers. Please go through with the subscribe button and please like, share and subscribe our channel, so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well, and you can be able to solve it out. We'll go ahead with the next one classes, and we will discuss all the question paper, and I'll be telling you all the possible question that has been asked for within these 5 units here. So thank you, hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and give a suggestion in the comment box.